Okay, this is Jowo Rinpoche, enshrined in the Jokhang Temple, found in Lhasa, Tibet, made during the Yarlung dynasty and brought to Tibet in 641 CE from India. It is made of gilt metal, so that's metal that's covered with semi-precious stones, pearls, and paint, and it's got various offerings in front of the statue, which are included in the description of the piece. So the biggest context is that out of India came Buddhism, and it went to where all these purple arrows are, and including the country of Tibet. And Buddhism is the kind of the main religion of Tibet today. And the notion that this statue is based on the Buddha himself. The idea is that the statue was made in his likeness, and the statue is his proxy, like it stands in for him. So when you're visiting the statue, you're actually visiting Buddha. And this statue became the Buddha, or stands in for the Buddha, from the point where the Buddha made his departure into nirvana, into the afterlife. So it is, however, not the earliest of Buddha statues in the world, but it has this kind of history around it, that it stands in for the Buddha and that it's based on the Buddha's likeness. So the context is that then people from all over Tibet travel, they make pilgrimages. This is a Buddhist, actually a lama, meaning a head of the Buddhist community, who is standing. He is actually standing on the roof of the Jokhang temple, and then these are visitors, pilgrims, who are at the Jokhang temple to worship that statue. And what I like most is this kid who is just screaming around on a bike with training wheels. I bet the people around that love that. Okay, form is that the Buddha is seated in a lotus position, which is very common. You see that here, seated on a lotus petal also. The left hand is in a mudra of meditation. Mudra is a hand position, and so that's there. And then the right hand is in a mudra of right here of witnessing and calling to earth to witness. And so these two together make refer to the moment where the Buddha reached enlightenment. Content, the Buddha wears is the statue is actually dressed, so you can see clothing over it, and he's covered with jewels, and this crown is placed on top of the statue itself. The Buddha, notice, has this bright blue hair, and then in front of the Buddha, you can see here are offerings that include candles, food, flour, incense, water for the Buddha to drink, and water for the Buddha to wash up with. And then context, kind of more modern context, is that here is the purple is China and the green is Tibet. And the blue diamond or star marks the spot of Lhasa, or where the Jokhang temple is. And in the 1950 China, you can see here, military marched into Tibet and took Tibet over. And the reason is the Chinese government would say, well, they're very close to us and we take care of them. But it's called the third pole of the world. It's like the roof of the world is another name for it. It has the third largest ice storage in the world with all their mountains. And from their ice storage or water storage comes, see all these rivers, the Yellow River, which is key to China, the Yangtze River, which is key to China, and then the Mekong. All of these rivers come out of the Tibetan plateau. So when you control that plateau, you're controlling a lot of life resource And then there are other mineral resources, copper, gold, silver, etc., lithium, uranium, that are mined here. This is a Chinese mining company mining in Tibet. So a huge amount of wealth needed for industrialization. And so when the Chinese invaded Tibet in the 1959, in the 1960s, they removed this statue from this temple. And that caused serious division between those two countries, in addition to invading. And this Lama, Rinpoche, was imprisoned for 20 years. And when he was released from prison, he made it his job to get the Jowo Rinpoche back in place. Half of the statue, the lower half, was found in a garbage heap in Tibet, and the other half was found in China. And he was able to bring them together. There's still some damage to the statue from that breakup, but it has been reinstalled here. So this piece stands, its function is that it is Buddha's proxy here on earth. And recently, because it has been reinstalled, it's kind of a symbol of the mending of relationships between China and Tibet. Not to say that Tibetans are excited about being controlled by China. So some tidbits here. This is the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet, meaning the highest Lama of Tibet. And this is a picture of him in January 17th, 2021. He was talking to the business school of Harvard. And what I want to point out about this image is that right back here is our piece, just the picture of our piece, and just showing that that is the Tibet's probably most sacred object, and it's a unifier of their religion. And the Dalai Lama here, who is the representative of Tibet, was left Tibet when the Chinese invaded, and he's been living in India and trying to get the world behind him to regain control of Tibet, or to free Tibet. That's what bumper stickers would say, is free Tibet. So he's in his 80s, but very well liked around the world. And then another tidbit, in 2008, a replica of the Jowo Rinpoche was made in a meditation center in Arlington, Massachusetts. So this is a famous piece around the world. So this is the Jowo Rinpoche enshrined in the Jokhang temple, found in Lhasa, Tibet, the capital. Made or installed there during the Yarlung dynasty, brought to Tibet in 641 CE. It is gilt medals with semi-precious stones, pearls, and paint, with various offerings that are placed in front of the Jowo Rinpoche. All right,